Maryland football lands a big commit in their 2026 class.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Trey Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Maryland football gets a big commit in their 2026 class with linebacker Kaden Carter. So Maryland's 2026 class is starting to come together a little bit. I think there's still obviously a lot that we want to do with that class and everything, but I do think we are starting to put the pieces together to get another really solid recruiting class for Maryland football to put together. There's still a lot of guys that we want. There's still a lot of guys that we're going to go hard after, and I'll talk a little bit about those guys, but Maryland just landed a really solid linebacker that I think could really help us over the next couple of years. So this Kaden kid is a really interesting type of prospect. It's a really cool commitment for Maryland because he's not usually where we get our guys from. He's actually from Georgia, which I think shows a lot for Maryland football. The fact that they're getting somebody from Georgia, the fact that we're able to recruit in Georgia and get a guy from Georgia who had a lot of different offers shows a lot because I feel like I haven't really seen that. I don't know how many guys on a roster are actually from Georgia. Like, I can't think of one that comes to my head right away. If you guys think of somebody, let me know in terms of guys that were originally from Georgia, like maybe not transfers, but guys who originally were from Georgia who joined the Maryland team. I can't think of any in my head, but maybe I'm just forgetting some. But that's a really good place to be able to recruit from because there's a lot of top talent that comes out of Georgia. It's one of the top states, I would say, for college football in terms of the different players you're going to get, in terms of the athletes that you're going to get, in terms of the high-profile type of guys. So the fact that Maryland's pulling a kid from Georgia definitely shows that we're getting somewhere with being able to recruit more around different states up and down the East Coast, which I do think is important. I think that does hold Maryland's recruiting back a little bit. The fact that if we don't get the DMV kids, it's like we're not going to get a ton of guys that we really like. But I do really like this Kaden Carter kid, and I like us getting somebody that's just not from the DMV. I think it is good to be able to recruit all over at the end of the day. You want to get guys from different areas. Obviously, we know that the DMV is the most important for Maryland football. That's where you're gonna make your money. And there's a lot of good players there, and there's plenty of good players to fill out your roster and to get to the spot that you want in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area. Even when you go up a little bit, even when you go into like the Pennsylvanias of the world and even deeper down into Virginia, there's a lot of talent that you can get from that kind of area. But a lot of other big-time schools are able to come in and kind of get those guys. So it does show you that you want to be able to recruit around the map. And I think getting this linebacker, Kaden Carter, is really important that we got somebody who currently goes to school in Georgia in the 2026 class. So I do really like that for Maryland, the fact that we were able to get somebody in the 2026 class that is from Georgia. Because right now, if you look at it, actually, everybody who's committed in the 2026 class right now is actually from the DMV area. We haven't landed anybody that's not from the DMV area. So I think that tells you a lot. Like we've landed Zion Lee, Damon Hall Jr., and Kamari Bing, three guys, three St. Francis kids actually, but you want to be able to get guys from other areas. And I think Kaden Carter is an example of getting someone from a different area. And I also like his game. I like kind of how he is as a player. He's got some raw athleticism that needs to be honed in. But I do think that him as a talent is going to be really good. There's a couple things that stand out to me when I watch his film is that he hits the gaps well. He hits gaps really well at a high level. He's able to get in the backfield. I think that was really impressive from his linebacker film. And you watch him play running back, he clearly has a different gear from everyone else that he's playing against, has a different kind of athleticism. And him playing running back shows me he's got speed, which is sometimes hard to tell when you're watching linebacker film just how fast some guys are, but you can tell in his linebacker film too. And he's really good at kind of reading plays and different things like that. But they ran a lot of different things from an offense. Like they ran end arounds for him. They ran screen passes. They just handed it to him. They did a lot of different things. So he got the opportunity to do a lot of different things at not just the defense side of the ball, but also the running back position. But he is projected to end up being a linebacker in college, which I think makes a lot of sense with the way I watch him play linebacker. Like I said, the way he shoots gaps, his athleticism, and the way he's reading plays. Obviously, high school football, it's easier to do that. You can really, if you really watch film for high school football, you can start to pick up on a lot of different things that teams do in a lot of different types of plays, formations, when this guy's here, when that guy's there. In college, it's a lot harder to do that. Obviously, you can still watch film, and that's going to help a ton, but you're not going to be able to be like, yep, this is the play. High school, you can kind of start to be like, yeah, it's probably going to be one of these three plays at a lot of different places, and it clearly shows that he watched film because he's really getting in the backfield. He's really able to find those different gaps, and he really looks like he knows a lot of the offensive scheme. And I like a guy that watches film. Obviously, I think that's going to translate to the college level, and I think that's going to translate to him playing high-level college football. So I think that is something that is important that he is able to do, and something that I do like that I've seen from his game, something that definitely can translate, something that definitely can help Maryland. So I do like that kind of IQ, especially coming from the linebacker room, because we're going to need a leader in there. We're going to need somebody that knows what they're doing. We're going to need somebody that is able to do those different things. We lost Caleb Wheatland, obviously, just lost Caleb Wheatland to Auburn. He was a guy that I thought did that at a really high level, wasn't a freak athlete, but I think Kaden Carter is a better athlete than Caleb Wheatland. So that's why I really like him. We get a high IQ linebacker, and then I think he's a really good athlete. So I do really like that about Kaden Carter. I think the one thing for me that I want to see him kind of develop and get better at as a linebacker, I think I want to see it's mainly a size thing. It's hard for me to tell from a huddle film exactly what he needs to actually get better at, but it's more of a size thing. And he's got to add weight to his frame. Right now, he's listed at 205 on 247, and I think that's pretty accurate when I look at the film. He doesn't look too big, so that's definitely pretty light. You got to get up to 225, 230, probably somewhere around there. You can run on the lighter side. I never hated, especially in today's kind of sports and college football and football in general. I don't mind guys running on the lighter side. I think that can make a lot of sense, just because a lot of linebackers are asked to cover. They're asked to do a lot of different things. So running on the linebacker or running on the lighter side isn't a bad thing, but you can't be 205, or else you're just going to get pushed back too much at the college level. But plenty of guys come in having to add weight, having to add strength, and I think that's something that he has to do. But you want a guy that you have to add weight from rather than having to subtract weight from, because we can get him in the college weight room, we can get him to add college weight, and then while he's in high school still, he can work on that too, getting just bigger and stronger, because he already has that speed and that athleticism and that quickness that you want to see from the linebacker position. And now if he gets a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, or a lot stronger, a lot bigger, we're going to see a guy that I think has a chance to make an impact for Maryland down the road. And I really like his game overall, and I do think he really helps out this 2026 class, who needs guys. We're going to need to start landing guys. We're going to need to start committing guys, and it's going to start to become that season soon where we're seeing a lot of guys choose Maryland. But I do like this player. I do like this pickup. I think it's a big pickup for the Terps 2026 class. In terms of his rating, he's rated as the 41st ranked linebacker on 247 and the 60th ranked player in Georgia. He's ranked 536 nationally, which is not bad at all. So he's like a high-level 3-star. Maybe he can make a jump to a 4-star if he has a kind of special type of fall next year for his school. But I do like his game, and I like his chances. And so some of the other schools that he was looking at, Michigan was a school, Georgia Tech. A lot of I think On3 are rivals. I forget which one had him predicted to go to Kansas, actually. So I know Kansas was somewhere that he was definitely looking at. NC State, Ole Miss offered him, Penn State offered him, Tennessee offered him, Texas A&M offered him. So he definitely had some pretty solid offers, like I said, Michigan, Georgia Tech, Kansas, Maryland, NC State, Ole Miss, Penn State, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Wake Forest. Like, he had some good offers. So it's good to see Maryland be able to get a guy like this while being able to go out of state to do it. We're going to preach that staying in state is important. Being able to get the DMV guys is important. But when you have a chance to get a guy in Georgia, when you have a chance to beat out some of these teams like a Penn State and Ole Miss for a kid, I think that is important for the Terps to be able to do. And we're going to see what happens with this Kaden kid, but he's definitely a name to watch. We'll see if he can surge up the rankings a little bit or what, but I do really like his game and think he's going to be a good player for the Terps, so we'll see what happens. Maryland spring game is tomorrow. I'm going to give you guys my biggest predictions heading into the spring game. What do I predict will happen? Who will play well? Who might not look as good? I'll talk about that next. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your pair controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and as you easily stream your favorite show, it's gaming made simple and it's all on your Fire TV. With Wi-Fi 6 and auto low latency mode advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you'll need to stay competitive. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controllers required. Available on select devices including Fire TV Stick, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. So we got a Maryland spring game on Saturday, and it was going to be my first topic to talk about today, but I wanted to talk about this new commitment in this Kaden kid that I think is going to be a good player. But let's move on to the spring game. I want to give kind of my biggest storyline / biggest predictions for Maryland spring game. So my first prediction is coming from the receiver room. I think that Caleb Webb, the transfer from Tennessee, is going to look really good. I think we're going to get a kid that came in as a 4-star, really high-level 4-star type of prospect, never got his chance at Tennessee. I think we're going to see a kid that's ready to go. We know that he's a track guy, so we know he's fast. We know he has that kind of athleticism, and he's tall. So I do think he's going to have a lot of potential with the Terps and the Terps offense. And that's my first kind of prediction. And somebody that I'm definitely going to be watching at is Caleb Webb. I think we're looking for guys that can play the receiver position at a high level. And I think Caleb Webb's going to be ready to prove a lot of people wrong at Tennessee. He came into Tennessee as a top 200 prospect, one of the top receivers in his class. And it just never worked out for him at Tennessee for whatever reason. Didn't play a ton, couldn't really get on the field. And I think he's going to be ready as to play as a Maryland Terrapin. He's got size and he's got speed. And really, in this world, that's all you really need. So I think he's going to really impress. I think the quarterbacks are going to throw him the ball. Wouldn't be surprised to see him catch a deep ball or something like that down the field. I definitely think he's the guy we're going to look at after and be like, this kid didn't play for Tennessee. That's my prediction coming out of the receiver room. And then I think also another receiver prediction. I think Mekhi White's going to catch a couple balls. The redshirt freshman from last year, a kid that I think has a lot of tools, was our highest rated recruit or his highest rated wide receiver recruit in his class. And so I think he has a chance to make some plays as well. And I want to see that too. And then I think something else that I'm going to looking forward to, or a storyline that I'm going to be looking at, is I think Nolan Ray is going to look good tomorrow. I think Nolan Ray is going to look good. I think the rest of the running backs could struggle because of our offensive line. That's kind of where I'm at with that prediction. But I think Nolan Ray is going to start to look good and start to hit runs in specific ways and hit gaps and those different things. But I think the rest of the running back room isn't going to really play too well just because of the offensive line. But I think Nolan Ray is going to show us a couple runs where we're like, yeah, the offensive line hasn't played great today, but he's a guy that looks good. And then I'm excited to see Dorian Fleming, the tight end, transfer. I think Fleming has a chance to be really good. I think he makes a couple of plays where we're like, okay, that's our tight end one. We feel good. We lost two guys in Dylan Wade and Preston Howard, but we feel good about Dorian Fleming and what he brings to this team, and we think he can provide some good play. So those are kind of my offensive side of the ball predictions. And then also, I think the offensive line will struggle. I think it's just too early for that group. It's hard to have a cohesive 5 guys in a unit that you feel really good about. You don't want them to struggle too much because, again, Maryland's defensive line is nothing to write home about right now. Nothing I'm going to go crazy about. So you hope they don't struggle too much. But that's my kind of prediction for the offensive side of the things. I think those guys, the offensive line isn't going to look awesome, but when does it look awesome? And then moving on to the defensive side of things, I think Michael Harris is going to be the star of the show for the linebacker room. I really believe in his talent. 4-star out of high school, moves really well. I just think he hasn't gotten a chance to play, and now I guess he's going to be a starter. And so we'll see exactly what he does with it. But I really liked his game for a while now, so we'll see exactly. I think Braden Lee coming back from injury. Remember, Braden Lee was a big-time recruit from us. We were able to flip him from South Carolina. I think he's a guy that is going to be coming back from injury, got a redshirt freshman year that looks really good and plays at a high level. I'm going to say the sophomore corners, Kevin Humes and Braden Lee, even though Braden Lee's technically a redshirt freshman, I think those guys are going to impress and look really good for the Terps. And then I'm looking at other guys as well that I think are going to play at a high level for Maryland football on the defense side of things. I'm looking at D.D. Holmes, transfer from Florida State. I want to see what he looks like, how he kind of shapes up with the rest of our pass rushers. I was really excited that we got this kid. I thought he could really help us. I like his size. I like his traits. I think he translates to a Maryland team that lacks those types of guys, that lacks kind of freak of natures off the edge that it seemed like a lot of these Big Ten schools have. A lot of these guys have. Penn State seems to have one every single year that's going to be a top 15 pick in the draft pick. Abdul Carter last night, NFL draft, went, what did he go? 3. So I think you want a guy like that, 3 to the Giants. So I think that could be interesting for Maryland to get a guy like or to have a guy like that. And I'm not saying he's Abdul Carter, but I think he's got a lot of traits, and I want to see how he performs. I do think we could struggle. Here's what I want to say. I think the defensive line is going to look better than it actually is because of Maryland's offensive line, but I think we could struggle in the back end in the corner position a little bit. We'll see exactly what happens. I did say Braden Lee and Kevin Humes I predict to look good, but who knows with Joyner and Jameer Glasgow, what happens there, and Jalen Husky. So we'll see exactly what happens. But those are some of my light predictions. Obviously, a lot of things can happen, and I expect the defense to win the game or win the day. Defense earlier on the season should be winning, so that's kind of how I see it. But we didn't get to talk about the quarterback room in the spring game. Here's kind of what I want to see from those guys. What's my predictions? I'll talk about that next, and everything I want to see from Malik and Justin Martin and how I kind of evaluate those two guys. So we'll talk about that next. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets in the same game parlays for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. So I think that the biggest storyline heading into Maryland's spring game is how do the quarterbacks look? I think it's something that is really important part of this. It's something that everyone's going to be looking at. And I talked about it yesterday. I've been talking about it the last couple of days, But I did want to make sure I addressed it one more time because I want to get my prediction of the quarterback room and kind of what I expect to see. The two guys I'm looking at is Justin Martin and Malik Washington. Obviously, Justin Martin transfer from UCLA. Didn't really ever play a ton at UCLA, and that does kind of concern me of kind of how good and where he's at because UCLA was no powerhouse for the last couple of years. So it's like, why wasn't he playing? Why didn't he get a chance to play? So that does concern me a little bit, but I still want to see how he plays and everything and how he looks as a player. But that's definitely going to be something that I'm going to be looking at that I'm interested in is how does Justin Martin play? How does he approach things? Because there is a world where he's a starter. I still am in the boat. I think Malik Washington is going to be the guy, and I think you don't hold Malik Washington back. But Justin Martin could be our starter, and I'm going to be looking at, is he going to give us a solid chance to win games? Like, does he look good? Does he look prepared? Does he look like he's played college football for the last couple of years? And here's my evaluation on him overall. I think he's really toolsy, came in as a high-level commit, was a 4-star rated player, has a lot of those different tools that you want. But I don't know if he's put it together yet in terms of just being able to make throw after throw and use that athleticism at the highest level. So I want to see if he's improved. Does this Maryland offense make him look better? Does he look more comfortable? Is he able to do things that he wasn't able to do before? I want to see exactly how that looks because I do think that's important for the Terps to be able to look at. So that's definitely something that I'm looking at for Maryland is how does he look? Is he throwing the ball at a high level? Is he able to run the ball? Is he able to do some of these different things that we know he can do, but he just hasn't showed it a ton at UCLA? Part of the reason why he just hasn't played. And I'm going to be like, was it a mistake that he wasn't playing at UCLA, or was there a reason for Justin Martin? And my prediction for him is I expect him to look kind of mediocre, to be honest. I think he's going to make a couple plays where we're like, okay, that's a good throw there. That's a big arm throw. That's a good run. But I think he's also going to make some plays where like, he missed the throw there. He missed the throw there. It's incomplete. He made a wrong read there. He threw an interception there. Maybe that'll be my prediction. Both quarterbacks to throw an interception. You got the young guy, Malik Washington, making throws back there. And you got Justin Martin. I think there's definitely a chance one of those guys turns it over or something like that. So we'll see exactly. But I definitely think that's a possibility for Maryland is just turning over the ball for the quarterbacks. And then Malik Washington, my prediction for him is to look good. I think he's going to look good, not great. I think he's going to make throws. I think he's going to show us a lot of pieces of what the future may hold for the next couple of years for Maryland football and do things that is going to get Maryland fans excited for the next couple of years, get me excited, get the fans excited, get Mike Locksley excited. I think he's going to make a couple of throws that makes go, wow. I also think he's going to run the ball a little bit. I think he's going to do a couple different things that allows him to look like for us to see enough of a sample size for us to be like, yep, that's our guy. That's a guy that's going to help us win games at the next level. That's kind of how I see it for him, and that's kind of how I see it coming in from Malik Washington. We'll see exactly what happens, but what I'm going to be looking at from him is his accuracy. He was a pretty accurate quarterback in high school. How does that translate to the college level? Are pass rushers able to affect him? Is the college gameplay and speed of the game and be able to affect him? I completely expect it not to. He played pretty high-level football at Spalding and was the best player in the MIA for the last couple of years. And then I also want to see is just raw athleticism. How well does he look running the football? I've always said he's a really good athlete. I've seen him play on the basketball court. He's the best athlete on the basketball court, and the basketball court got some really good athletes. And so if the quarterback was the best athlete on the basketball court, he's probably a pretty good athlete. So that's something else that I'm interested in. How does he look on the basketball court? Because I do think that's important, or on the football field in terms of his athleticism, because I've seen it. I want to see if that is really the case or what it is. So I'm going to be looking at that for Malik Washington. That's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked On Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked On Terps.